So, if you had told me a little over a year ago that I'd be sitting here talking to you, 200 pounds lighter, sharing my story, I wouldn't have believed you. I thought I was too far gone, that weight loss was impossible for me, but it wasn't, and it's not for you either. So, if you don't know me, my name's Carrie, and I've lost 200 pounds. So, welcome. And today I'm going to be talking about how I did that, and I'm going to break it down into a few sections for you. So let's get into it. The biggest reason that I was able to lose 200 pounds wasn't just about food or exercise. It started right here. It started with my mindset. And you'll probably hear me talk a whole lot, and I mean a whole lot about mindset on this channel. And the reason for that is because I really do believe it is not only the most important change that I made, but it is the most important change that I believe anyone has to make if they want to have a successful and permanent change to their weight and their health. But I don't believe in any kind of long-term success without a change in mindset. I know for me as a food addict, I think the main reason that all the other attempts failed was because I didn't have this one core principle really nailed down. So for years, I thought I just needed to do the right diet, and I didn't. And don't get me wrong, I do think diet is important, or what you eat is important. I hate that word diet. Or I needed the right workout plan, even though I couldn't even work out because I weighed over 500 pounds. But no matter what I tried, I always ended up back in the same place. I was stuck in that same cycle of food addiction. So binge eating, self-sabotage, and then do it all over again all the time. Just this vicious circle. I don't know if that sounds familiar at all to you guys, but the truth is, I wasn't just battling my weight. I was battling my thoughts. And until I got my mindset right, nothing was going to change for good. So, this time I decided to do things entirely different. Every time I'd started a diet before, I had one goal in mind. It was just to lose weight, lose it as fast as I could, and I would start one of those extreme, diet plans or fad diets and starve myself. I literally was the girl that you could find in the Walmart or the grocery store and looking at every single magazine that had a lose weight today, lose weight fast, lose 300 pounds in 2 weeks title on their magazine article. And I pretty sure I bought almost all of those. So I would start a lot of times with these extreme plans. I would starve myself. I would obsess over and over and over again on the scale. But the second that I slipped up, and trust me, I slipped up, I would spiral. And then I would just tell myself, okay, I failed, so I'm going to just give up entirely. I remember years and years ago, someone gave me, I'm not sure who it was. Anyway, I think it was called the military diet or something like that. And it gave you this promise that if you followed the diet that they gave you, you would lose 10 pounds in a week. You only had to follow the diet for 3 days. And then you got 4 days off, or you would take 4 days off. So the 3 days were like this extremely low calorie plan, and there were crazy things on it too, like hot dogs. Who would have thought? And then 4 days they wanted you to do like a 1,500 calorie day diet. They didn't give you any kind of guidelines for that other than 1,500 calories. And let me tell you, once I got through the 3 days, I was eating way more than 1,500 calories on the other 4 days. Then I'd get on the scale, wouldn't lose 10 pounds. Sometimes it would be up and I would gain weight. And I'd be like, well, this isn't working, so I guess I'll just give up. Of course, that was a horrible way to eat anyway, but the first and major problem that I did not even see at the time was the fact that I had the wrong mindset. I also just gave up on myself. I can't even picture myself doing that now. I love myself way too much to just throw in the towel and give up. But this time, though, I changed my goal. Instead of losing weight fast, I focused on becoming a healthier person. I wanted to heal my body. I committed to the long game, sustainable changes, taking it one day at a time. I told myself, I can do this for one day. I can do anything for one day. One day at a time, I said. Then, when I got through that day and I did it, I was like, way to go. Let's go for 2 days. And then as the time went on, I was able to say, wow, we've done 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Let's do a week. And then it got up to where I'd say, okay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Wow, let's do 30 days. I can do anything for 30 days. So I did it. No crazy diet, no punishing myself. I just focused on what I could do. I wasn't chasing weight loss. I was building this new life for myself. So I had to rewire all of my thoughts about food, and I had to heal my relationship with food. So as a food addict, I wasn't just eating because I was hungry. I was eating to escape stress, food, sad, food, happy, food. Food wasn't just fuel for my body. It was my comfort, my reward, my coping mechanism, and I had to break that cycle. And the first step to breaking that cycle was awareness. So instead of mindlessly reaching for food, I started asking myself, am I actually hungry, or am I just trying to numb something? I also learned that food wasn't my enemy, but it also wasn't my therapist. So I started focusing on eating for nourishment, not emotional comfort. And when the emotions did come up, and believe me, they came up. And I'll tell you one thing. I think when you get all of the toxins out of your diet and you're eating a proper, nourishing diet, you go through some crazy emotions. And you're detoxing. So I was not a fun person to live with. So we'll just put it that way. But I did deal with them in ways that did not involve food. Sometimes that was yelling, which also wasn't good. But I also learned to cope with that too. So I learned that food is my fuel. It's not a solution for emotions. And I stopped letting any setbacks I had define me. I always said progress over perfection. I didn't lose 200 pounds in a straight line either. I messed up a lot. I had days where I fell back into old habits, days where I doubted myself, days where I felt like I wasn't making any progress at all. And there were some days that I weren't making progress, not in the weight loss. I always believed I was making progress in mindset shifts and habit change, but it's not a straight line. So there was even one point when I had stalled out in the weight loss for a while, and the weigh-ins were just the same number week after week after week. So I decided, probably my ADHD kicked in, to chart the weight loss and the foods I was eating in order to figure out exactly what was going on and how to get myself back on track. The difference, I believe, this time over every other time was I decided I wasn't going to let a bad day turn into a bad week, a bad month, or just a total relapse. And instead of beating myself up, I reminded myself, it isn't about being perfect. It's about getting back up, one choice at a time, one day at a time. And the people who succeed aren't the ones who never mess up. We all mess up. They're the ones who never, ever quit. So the next thing I did was the food plan. I really hate calling it a diet. It's really only a diet in the sense of it's what I eat. But every single time I say to someone when they ask how I've lost weight, well, what diet were you on? It kind of just irritates me. So I kind of like to call it just my food plan or what I eat or, you know, lifestyle even. So anyway, I decided from all of the extensive research I did, and I did a ton of research, that I was going to go on a whole food plant-based diet. No added salt, no oils, no refined sugars, and it was going to be food that I made at home, that I didn't get out of the restaurant. Because even though my town has a few restaurants that I can eat at, they do use salt. Some of them in some dishes they use oil. I'm not gonna lie, I did treat myself, but for the most part, food at home is, and it was food that we're made to be eating. Whole, natural, real food. I'm talking beans and quinoa and tofu and mushrooms and fruits and greens and nuts and seeds and so many other vegetables. Like literally not restrictive at all. And I realized that I could eat in abundance, that all of these foods were well, except for the nuts and the seeds. But the rest of them were low calorie enough that I could eat them without worrying about counting calories. So I didn't have to do that, which was absolutely wonderful for me. I did track the foods I was eating, but only did that so that if I hit a plateau or if something came up, I would have a record to go back and look at and see how to get back on track or what I might need to tweak or change. But I never planned on tracking food for life anyway. It's just through this phase of weight loss that I was doing that, and it was only for that purpose. And all of these foods are extremely high in nutrients, which is extremely important. And it turns out when you eat these foods, it's not only hard to screw up, but I found it's really hard to overeat. Therefore, I did not count calories, like I said before, because these foods are extremely filling and, like I said before, full of nutrients. So you will have ended up eating less at your meal, calorie-wise, than a traditional diet. And you're going to be way more full and way more satisfied. Trust me. So I also created a life that I didn't want to take a vacation from. I didn't want to escape from it. And just being real, if your plan is miserable, you're not going to stick to it, period. I had to stop forcing myself to do things I hated. So instead, I decided to build a lifestyle that I actually enjoyed. For example, when talking about food, I loved ice cream. It was one of my favorite foods. Guess what? It still is. I would go to the store before and buy a pint of ice cream and come home and eat the whole pint. The amount of crazy stuff in ice cream will blow your mind, or at least it did mine. Now, I still enjoy the ice cream. I do fruit-based ice creams, and it is amazing. Yeah, it took time for my taste buds to change. I haven't had real ice cream in probably 3 years, or 2 years, but I do not even remember what it tastes like. It's crazy to even say that. I do, however, love every single one of my whole food plant-based ice creams that I make myself at home. I don't even buy the non-dairy ice creams out, because even those have a ton of stuff in them that I'm not eating. And I think if I did eat them, it would trigger cravings and issues that would send me off in a tangent. So I'm not even going that way. But they are really easy to make too, which also makes it better. I ate chocolate and strawberry and cookie dough, pineapple Dole Whip. The list goes on and on and on. I even got me one of those fun little gadgets, the Ninja Creamy, in order to have some real fun with it. See, I didn't say, well, ice cream is off limits. I'm never ever going to have it again. I just changed it a little, and it still satisfies. I wanted a plan that included all of the carbs, the proteins, and the fats, where none of these things were completely cut out. I also found foods that I loved that would also love me and my body back. These foods felt so good, so it wasn't a punishment. And I stopped making my life revolve around weight loss too. I made it about living. Weight loss isn't just about subtracting pounds, it's about adding life. And then there's exercise. I don't know about you, but not my favorite thing to do. I do enjoy moving my body now, but I'm going to be honest with you. In the beginning, most of the first 200 pounds, I didn't exercise at all. And in the very beginning, it was more movement than I was used to, but I wouldn't even really consider it exercise. There really was no way I could do any kind of exercise because I was well over 500 pounds and I could barely walk from my bedroom to my living room. And by the time I got there, I was totally exhausted. And while this is somewhat embarrassing, I really don't care because I want to share all of these embarrassing moments with you guys, because maybe someone out there who's watching this is going through this or has had this happen to them and they felt ashamed and alone. But I would wait too long to go to the bathroom because I knew it was going to be a pain and it was going to hurt to just get up from that couch and walk to the bathroom. And by the time I decided I had to, it took me forever to scoot to the edge of the couch, and then I'd have to rest. And then I'd have to push myself with all that weight up and then rest. And then I would have to balance myself and then rest a little bit and then waddle to the bathroom and then again rest a little bit. So yeah, for me, it took a long time to do exercise. And when I started losing weight, things did change. I wanted to move. I hated not being able to move. For me, it was like, well, I'm losing all this weight and now I want to move my body and I want to do things. I've kind of always been a go, 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 go person. Someone who never stayed home, who was always on the move. And once I got so heavy, it was like my life was just in the house. And it just really, really crushed my spirit. And I do have some other issues that make moving a little more difficult. I have some lymphedema in my stomach and it makes things harder and it puts me off balance. It has gotten a lot better as the weight's coming off, but it's still not perfect. So it still causes some problems even now. But in the beginning, I did do some seated exercises. I bought one of those hand cycle thingies and I used it in the floor with my feet instead of my hands on the couch, kind of like a portable stationary bicycle. And then I would start walking up and down my hallway when I was able to do that. And that's all I did for the first part of this weight loss journey. Now I'm going on walks every day, riding bikes, doing strength training exercises. And as I get more and more weight off of me, I have lots of plans for a lot more things that I love. Oh, and I love swimming. I did actually get in the pool a lot in the beginning. I did have to be pushed in my wheelchair to get to the pool, but that was okay. I found a pool in my local area that allowed you to wear just shorts and a t-shirt. They didn't care if you had a swimsuit or not because I wasn't getting a swimsuit. And I would walk up and down the pool. I love to swim, so I'd swim some. It was really, really good for me to do that. And it also was good for my lymphedema and helped there too. But the key here is, I believe, sticking to exercises that you love. Because if you enjoy it, you're going to do it. If you hate it, you're going to find every single excuse in the book to not do it. So, there you have it. The number one thing that helped me lose the first 200 pounds was that mindset shift. After that, a very, 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 very close second is finding that perfect whole food, natural plant diet. So that way I didn't have to worry about calorie counting because that was the last thing I wanted to do. And then, of course, last was the exercise. There were other things too, but these were the most important. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I don't know if I can do this, let me tell you something. You absolutely can. I'm not special. I don't have some magical discipline. I just started with one simple mindset shift. I stopped dieting and I started changing my life. I did that one choice and one day at a time. And if I can do it, you can do it. You are capable of so much more than you think you are, friends. If this resonated with you, please drop a comment below and let me know what's one mindset shift that you need to make right now. And if you want more videos about how I lost 200 pounds, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an update. And until our next conversation, let's do this together. See you next time, friends. Bye.